Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it takes to be healthy and stay healthy in a modern, fast paced world. I'm your host, Tiffany Simms, and today I am here with Amanda, and you're going to love her. I was fortunate enough to meet her a few months ago. I do some side coaching for another group, and she happens to work in that organization as well. And so we were connected. So I'm really excited to have her on the show today. Amanda, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Tiffany. I'm really excited to be here today.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yes.
So, if you're like, all right, is this episode for me? If you are wondering, how do I even plan a getaway? How do I plan a trip, a vacation, even if it's just a day moment getaway? When life feels upside down, this episode is for you. Amanda is the expert when it comes to planning travel and trips when life is crazy. And so, Amanda, before we jump in, will you share with our listeners who you are, where you live, and what makes you uniquely you?
Yeah. So I'm Amanda Heater. I am the CEO and owner of Across the Horizon Travel. I have been in the industry now going on 3.5 years, but planning travel for friends and family for like 15, and finally decided to make it what I do as a profession. And I love it. I've never looked back. So happy doing it. It's fun being able to bring joy to other people's lives through travel. So I specialize in international group and romance travel. So I love putting together groups, doing bachelorette parties, girls' trips, which I'm hosting a girls' trip in February. Super excited for that. I love doing like single ladies trips because I'm a single lady, all the single ladies out
All
there.
the single ladies, all the single
Um,
ladies.
I just,
Every woman in our age group just wiggled and danced.
they probably did for real. But I love planning travel. So I do a lot of group travel, like I said. And so I also, another thing I'm niching down in is I'm actually working with coaches and speakers to plan international retreats outside of the country to grow their businesses. So it's another thing I do as
That's
well.
cool.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
I know. I love collaborations and helping people grow. I love growing together. So when I'm working with a coach or speaker, they're growing their business, I'm growing mine. We're doing it together. It's pretty cool.
You know what just like popped in my brain when you said like business travel? Back when I worked for a Fortune 250 company, and anytime there was any kind of like event or if someone talked about a trip, like there was always grumblings in the office about how weird that was and who would want to spend the weekend with their coworkers and they're
Well,
going to want us to be like friends and kumbaya and brainwash us. And it's so funny when I think about that now in where I sit now as like the owner of a small business, and
yeah.
everyone around me, their teams are so excited that their boss and their employer would even care about them enough to like plan and pay for a getaway for them and their families as like that reward, knowing that the work in the days can be hard and daunting. And so
Yeah.
like let's come together and breathe and figure out how we continue to grow together.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such a different mindset.
It is. It is. I think back then it was more that you probably weren't going somewhere fun, like an all inclusive, like they do
Mhm.
nowadays. It probably was, oh, we're going to go to Colorado and hang out in this like uptight, hotel, and everybody has to sit in a meeting room most of the day. So it probably didn't seem as fun as what they're doing nowadays.
That's really
And
cool.
there's so much there's awareness now of, like, mental health, and employers are aware of that, so they know, "Hey, if we're gonna do something that's a getaway, we are gonna have business, but we are gonna have time for our employees to love them and let them have time just to relax, recharge while they're here as well." It's totally
Yes.
different.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but since it's on my brain, I'm going to share it. I think that is one of the biggest hiccups when you go on a mastermind or a retreat weekend is that the host is wants to make sure that they're adding so much value and it's such a transformational weekend for the big picture theme of why you're going, whether it's business, relationships, relaxation, exercise, and health, that sometimes they forget to plan in the downtime.
Yeah. That's where I come
And
in
so
and
you're
help.
go, 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 and you're like, actually, I would be really nice if I could just sit, sit, sit and like chat, chat, chat
Yes.
to
You
like
are
let me process what's happening and really
Yeah.
make connections.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and that's where I come into play because I remind those retreat leaders of that, of like, "Hey, you need to incorporate, like, a half of a day or even a full day of that." That's so key. It is so key.
Yes.
The US is full of people that are having burnout, and we gotta allow that time to relax and recharge.
Yeah. We got and taking the responsibility of ourselves in those leadership positions to lead the way and
Yeah,
kind of like lay it out for how to do that. Because I truly believe, we started the podcast with like, how do you plan a getaway when life feels upside down, right?
right,
So
yes.
many people, especially women, like they know they need to get away. They know they need to go to Jamaica or to
Mhm.
Florida or to California, like, or even just the hotel down the street where they turn off their phones and use the hotel pool, right?
Right.
They know they need to do that, but even if they're lucky enough to schedule it, they actually don't know how to breathe while they're there because their
Mhm.
brain is still everywhere else. And so I really do think that it's our responsibility as leaders to actually teach that because
Yeah,
it's not too simple. People don't
right.
know how to relax
Mhm.
without destructing and imploding.
Yep, you're correct. And the cell phones come into big play with that. We're in a generation now where it's immediate responses to everything. We have email, we have text messages, just everything's on demand. So everything's so quick. And one thing I remind myself when I go on a getaway, because I'm a travel advisor, I'm like, oh, I should be working the whole time I'm there. Incorrect. Because I'm working all the time when I'm at home. So why should I be in that mindset? So one thing I do, and here's a tip for anyone that's struggling with that, is I actually delete the social media apps off of my phone. Because if
Mm.
you think about it, what are you usually on most of the time if you're on your phone? Exactly. Facebook.
Whichever one of those apps that you do this, if you're listening, I'm making the scrolling motion. You should come over to YouTube and be a part of this so you can be in the room with us. But that scrolling motion, whatever that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is not allowing you to be in the present and enjoy where you're at or enjoy the people you're with. So I intentionally will delete those off of my phone because then it's like, well, when I pick up my phone, I'm like, well, okay, I don't feel like responding to this text anyway. I was just gonna get on there and scroll on Facebook or Instagram for 30 minutes and just zone into my phone.
Face
That's
is very accurate.
Meh. Right, I mean, for real. So, I wanna be able to enjoy where I'm at because usually I'm at the beach. I'm a beach girl. Some people love the mountains. I love the beach. So, I wanna go down to the ocean and sit in a chair and read a book or something that's healthy, or just take a
Mm,
nap, or just take time to reboot my brain because these phones, they just suck the life out of us a
yeah,
lot of the times.
right.
Mhm.
And you just said read a book that's healthy. And in my head, I have like I'm a big personal development book person. Like
Me too.
they like they just make me so happy.
Me
And
too.
like they're my jam. But like I've got some girlfriends who are into like some spicy books. And I thought so when you said that, I was like, and if you just spent a whole day reading a spicy book while you relax, do you know how spicy your love life is gonna
Right.
feel? Because now
Yeah.
you have time and space and zero responsibility that you can just be the sexy version of your younger self. Because back then, when we had no responsibilities, things were just a little bit spicier, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah, girl. I'm like, "Don't get me started on that." We'll go down a deep
You're a little
rabbit
bit
hole.
more free flowing, a little bit more like adventurous and
Yes.
just willing and excited
Mhm.
because there wasn't as much stress and mental load.
Right, exactly. I totally agree with you on that. So, you need to get away if your brain is on overload because these things, they will suck your brain out. And if you're listening to this, I showed my cell phone. They suck your brain.
So Amanda, how does that woman, how do women get the trip out of the group chat?
Ooh, that's a tough one. How do they get it out of the group chat? So I am a big advocate of who you surround yourself with is who you're going to be like. So for me, if I want to go on a trip, I am going to surround myself with people that I know love to travel. And I
Mm.
know some people may not love to travel as much as others do, but finding that group of women, there's lots of Facebook groups. If you don't have any girlfriends that are really like to travel the way you do, maybe you need to find some new girlfriends that will want to travel with you. Then it won't be so hard to get that trip out of the group chat because they already have their passports ready. And when that deal comes up, that Black Friday deal, it just passed by and they can get it for half off, they're all jumping on it and saying, let's get out of here in February when it's freezing cold and let's go sit our bums on the beach. So it's so key to find those friends that are willing to know how important it is to be able to go on a trip and just decompress for 4 or 5 days.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
And so many people say they love to travel, they would love to travel, but the reality is that they don't believe that they have earned the right to travel, or they
Yeah.
just straight up don't like the thought of having to plan something else when they're in charge of everything else in their life is overwhelming.
Yeah. I totally get that. And this is where I come to play, not to give a little plug, but that's where I come into play. I can take care of planning all of that for you. My, I guess, motto is all you need to do is show up with your bags packed, and I take care of the rest. And that always just gives anyone I'm talking to a peace of mind of, okay, I've already told her what I want. She's going to show me some options. And then I say yes to that. And then I just go about life until it's time to travel. And she's going to tell me what to do. And that's what I do.
That sounds like the easy button
Mhm.
that we all dream about, right? It's like
Yeah,
actually there is a person that I can word vomit my desires at, tell them what I like, what I don't like, the time frames that I'm looking at, my budget, and then they go magically make spin all the wheels, pull all the levers, and they hand me the itinerary.
exactly. That's what I do. Yes. And for the busy woman that is being a mom to their kids, that's running a business and working a full-time job, because I tell you, I was that too. My side hustle was travel for years and worked a full-time job. And then you're taking care of the house, you're the chef, you're the maid, you're all the things. It is really difficult to try to find time, and it takes hours to plan travel. I know. I know it does, and that's why I take that on for the people that I help plan travel for. Take that off of their plate so they don't have to worry about it. I take care of that.
That is like, doesn't that just sound so magical? Like
It
we all
is.
dream about that moment, and it turns out like it's not actually just for like the elite and wealthy to just
No.
magically show up in their lives and snap their fingers and everyone jump. Like that's accessible to the everyday modern woman.
Yes, correct. It is.
But yet, I would love to hear your perspective on this because the thing that was about to come out of my mouth is like, but yet my whole life it was painted that travel agents are a thing of the past. They're just there to get their money. Like you're not actually getting a deal. You're not actually getting anything that you need. Like, and we've like gone into this self-service mode. You see it at
Mhm.
Walmart, you see it at Target. Like there's
Yep.
few cashiers. And so now when we see people in those service roles, we feel like it's unattainable because it's like, well, that must cost an arm and a leg. And what am I really going to get for that?
Right.
How do you see like travel agents in this modern world and like where we've been, where we are, and like the conversation that we really do need to have for just that service and that value that comes with trusting someone?
Yeah. So one thing, a lot of us travel advisors, we call ourselves advisors now. Travel agents is such a thing of the past because what we're doing is advising our clients on where to go, what to do, the best flight, your transfers. There's so many things that come into play when you're traveling. And I tell you what, the Google deep dive and a rabbit hole that you can go down, it's a scary thing. And I have seen people that have planned travel on their own to a country that they're not they've never been to, and then they realize they forgot to book their transfers, or they forgot to get traveler's insurance and then they had to cancel because grandma got sick and they had to take care of her, or whatever it may be. We come into play and take care of all of that for you, so you don't have to do all that research yourself. We're the experts. I always say, would you cut your own hair? Probably. I mean, you probably could, but you're
I
not
mean, I've been
going
cutting
to.
my bangs here lately, so you can decide if we should cut our own hair or not based off of.
I love it. Or would you try to, like, repair your engine in your car? I mean, if you're a repairman, yes, but if you're someone that has no experience, no. You're
Totally.
gonna give it to the expert and have them do it to make sure it's done right, and that's
Yeah.
exactly the same thing with travel. I mean, when you're traveling, usually, especially if you're leaving the country, you're dropping a pretty penny, and you don't want that to be messed up to where you get to where you're going and the photos online looked glamorous, but then you get there and go, "What is this
What
dumpster?"
is this? And
Yeah,
you're scared for your life. You feel a little like, and now you've ruined, now your whole vacation is the thing that was supposed to help you
yeah.
recharge and be playful and find your curiosity and joy again has become a stress.
Exactly. Yes, that's correct. And one thing that us at travel advisors do is we actually go and visit the properties, and we get a tour with the sales staff where we get to see every nook and cranny. We get to see the spa. We get to see the presidential suite. So if you're a bougie person and wants to go stay in the presidential suite, I got you. Or if, we were able to see every nook and cranny and all the different restaurants. So if you're someone that prefers this type of food, or you want to have this type of room, we've seen them. We have the photos that we can show you as well. And we can tell you, yes, you're going to have a wonderful experience here. Oh, yeah, this is probably not your vibe. So that's where that discovery call that I have with my
So
clients
fun.
comes into play, where I find out what it is they're looking for in their trip. Because you may be somebody that's a party animal, and then you get to a resort that has no nightlife, you're going to be very disappointed, or vice versa. You might be somebody that wants quiet, and then you're in a party resort, then you're going to be really upset. So
You're gonna
that's
be like me when my neighbor blows their leaves at 2 o'clock every day, and you're like, but I'm trying to like do my job and I need to be on camera and you're noisy.
right. Exactly. Yes. So that's another thing. You don't want to do it yourself, because I mean, you can do it yourself, but you're probably not going to get the elite experience that you're looking for. And that's where I come into play, and I ask you all the questions. I bring you options, and I bring you my experience, and then you can decide from there where you want to go, and then you just go, okay. And I send you packing lists, packing tips for pre, during, and post travel. So
So
when you're
fun.
going into an international airport and you've never traveled there before, like the Punta Cana airport, I have been there personally. So I literally walk you step by step of everything to expect when you're arriving into the airport and then when you're coming back to the US, because they're both two different ball games for real. But I walk you through that, so you don't go in blindsided going, I don't know what to expect. I had no idea how to do this. There's paperwork sometimes you have to fill out, and I tell you
Paperwork on the
everything.
plane. And
Yes.
no joke, customs going in and out of the country are so different on
Mhm.
both sides. Different going through customs to leave the country, different coming into the next country, and then different again trying to leave that country and come
Yep.
like there's four different versions of customs on a what like a two-way trip, a round
Yep.
trip.
Yep, you are correct on that. So there a lot of people don't know this. So there's customs, which is your personal items like your suitcases, and then you have immigration, as us as humans have to go through. So immigration is going to be definitely so much different whenever you're leaving the United States, because you don't have to go through immigration when you leave the US to go to another country, but going to Mexico or Dominican Republic, Jamaica, each one of them have different ways of doing things, and I have that experience to be able to share with you. And then know, hey, maybe you shouldn't be bringing, like, for instance, Mexico had that you weren't allowed to bring both an iPad and a laptop. If you had both with you, they would charge you 500 US dollars. So just things like that that no
I
one would know. Yeah.
I feel like I just got whiplash.
Yeah.
Now that's a sell.
Mhm.
Like that, the thing that you that keep that I can't stop chuckling about in my head is going back to that like doing your hair yourself, right? Like no one is gonna try to do a balayage or the
Yes.
highlights themselves. We all lived through the 90s. Like, you're not doing it. And
Right.
so when the price tag, which has gotten a little out of hand, if I'm going to be honest, at the hair salons,
Yes, I
you're
agree.
just like, okay, because you know what you're getting and you know that it's going to be reliable and that you're going to look good and that you're going to feel good and
Mhm.
that you're not going to need a repair session. And
Exactly.
like I love that you painted travel advisors the same way. And I wish that I had been raised that they were a valuable part of the team, just like your hairstylist is,
Mhm.
rather than something to like watch out for because you can
Right.
do it yourself.
Right. Right. You can do it yourself, but you can cut your hair yourself. You can try to fix your engine yourself in your car. But do you want a good experience or oh, there was a thumbs up. Or do you want a good experience or do you want a fantastic experience? There's a difference, you know?
There is a difference. So, so cool. That's really great. Now, what is the craziest thing that you've experienced while you've been like planning? Is there anything that like women are need to know when they're planning the trip with a travel advisor when or maybe like the craziest thing you've seen that you would warn people about when they say I want to go X, Y, or Z that you're like, actually, no. I
So
promise you don't.
honestly, I haven't had that experience quite yet. I did
Good to
have a
know.
really crazy experience coming back from the Dominican Republic into the United States. So, I've traveled to lots of destinations before, and this past summer, I was flagged coming back to the United States as being someone that had to go through extra security. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit fearful because it was my first time going there. I had my 2 kids with me, mind you, kids. My son's 17 and my daughter's 21, but they're still my kids. And so I had to pretty much hand off my passport to this guy, and he just took it away. And I was just standing there, and I was like, "You have my one form of identification. If you lose that, how am I leaving?"
I'm
So
stuck
I
here
had to
forever.
yeah, so I had to go through like extra TSA where I went through the normal where you put your arms up and they scan you in the x-ray and you put your luggage through and everything. But then they pulled my luggage and literally pulled every single thing out of my luggage and went through all of it. They scanned my hands to make sure I wasn't bringing back drugs and I was like, "What why are you picking me?" But the one thing I'm glad they picked me for is if I ever have a client that has this situation that they're at the airport and they're starting to freak out and say, "Hey, I'm having this happen." First off, I've already given you a document walking you through step by step of what to expect because I did it. And then I can be that peace of mind for them, that voice of reason. Because when you're at the airport, you have Wi-Fi, you can text me, and I'll be like, "Hey, it's okay. This is what you can expect." That's another thing that I do is I am the voice of reason. I work with a lot of newlyweds that are going on their honeymoon, and this is their first time leaving the country as an adult on their own. And so they usually have lots and lots of questions and I am there for them step by step from when they're leaving the United States, getting into the country, even coming back into the country. And I have been told by them that they appreciate that I'm there as kind of their right
Yeah.
wingman, I guess, to just
Yes,
walk
instead
them.
of that phone call to mom, panic phone call to mom, like
Yeah.
what temperature do I cook the turkey and how long is it still good? Like, is this rotten? You know,
Yeah.
that panic call we all give to our mom. It's like you have the travel mom there
Mhm.
for you to help you get through any of those adventures.
Yes, exactly.
All of
Yeah.
the unknown adventures that you didn't know you were about to have or have questions about.
Yeah.
She's a phone call.
Yep, yep. Flight
Oh,
cancellations, flight delays, issues with transfers being picked up. I had someone that had an issue checking in, and I called the hotel and raised hell. Sorry if I'm not supposed to be using any kind of words like that, but I raised hell for my client, and they took care of them right away because they were having issues. I said, "Hold on, let me call. I'll deal with this." So I
so
advocate for my
good.
clients.
I love that. So, really, the secret to how to plan a getaway when life is upside down is find an Amanda
Yes.
and say, "This is where I'm looking to travel. This is the time frames that I have available. Here's my budget. These are the kind of things we're into. What can you do for me?" and
Mhm.
actually let someone plan it for you. So all you have to do is pack your bag and get there.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
So brilliant.
Yes.
This is the first conversation I have ever had with a travel advisor and about using a travel advisor. And
Really?
so, yes. Like I know a few women who are travel advisors, but we've never actually talked about what they do, how they do it. It's just kind of like, yeah. They always say like, "Oh, if you ever need to plan some travel, let me know." And like that's where the conversation kind of always lands. And so like
Oh,
this was so insightful for me,
yeah.
knowing that I literally can pick up a phone, word vomit, almost like to an assistant. We all wish we had assistants,
Yes.
and be
Yes.
like, "Can you take care of this for me? Thank
Mhm.
you."
Yep. Yep, you
So
are
cool.
correct. You are correct. And one little I always like to let everyone know, a lot of people don't realize this. When you work with a travel advisor, we offer low deposits and payment plans. When you're going on Google, usually they're going to ask for a big chunk up front, and then you might have the big other chunk that's due a couple months before travel. You can do payment plans. So if you're booking like a year in advance and you're like, I don't know if I'm able to afford this trip. I can help you afford that trip by putting down a small deposit, getting a great deal because you're planning it a year in advance, and making small payments on it. Then you're not going fronting thousands of dollars all at once and go, I don't have that in my bank account. It's okay. We can make it work.
Oh my God, Amanda, you just saved so many women. Like, I can't, like, the number of trips that are about to be booked because women now know that they can, like, layway it,
Hmm.
just like you do with, like, what is that, like a firm or something, and you defer your
Yeah.
payments when you're shopping online.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. So, Amanda, how do women connect with you outside of the show?
Yeah, so I am on pretty much all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Look up Across the Horizon Travel, you will find me. I am literally the only Amanda Heater, last name is Hietter, that you will find on Facebook or Instagram. And I do have a website, acrossthehorizontravel.com as well. So you can check it out there. You can click the contact me button and just submit your questions, and we can set up a time to chat. And I'm here to help.
Oh my gosh, this has been so good. So, as we wrap up this episode, is there anything that was left on your heart that we didn't talk about, or any final words that you'd like to leave with our bestie listening right now?
Yeah. So, ladies, I know as being a woman, I am a single mom. I have two kids. Granted, my kids are older, but some of you out there that are listening, you have little kids. You are the personal maid. You are the chef. You are the chauffeur. You might be running a business and working a full time job, a wife. You're doing it all. It is so, so, so key, especially this time of year, because we're recording this now in December. Get yourself away for a little bit of time. You need that to be able to recoup, to re-energize. It's so important because if you don't have your cup full, how are you going to pour out into others? So make sure that you're filling your cup too, because that's so key. You don't want to burn out.
Thank you so much. This has been such a fun chat. Go connect with her, go be a human and connect with other humans in this world. And with that, that's Two Humans Talking. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Woman Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.